My name is Olivia Ashford, and I grew up believing that family meant loyalty. I was wrong. My father owned one of the largest corporate empires in New York. Our family lived in a mansion that looked more like a palace. Every dinner was attended by politicians, billionaires, and celebrities. My parents constantly reminded me that the Ashford name was worth more than any individual. Then I met Ethan. Everyone at my father's headquarters knew him as the quiet janitor who worked the night shift. He never asked anyone for attention. He simply cleaned the offices, smiled politely, and went home. While executives ignored him, I noticed something different. Every night after work, he sat alone in the cafeteria reading thick business books. One evening, I asked him why. He smiled. Knowledge doesn't care whether you're wearing a suit or holding a mop. That single sentence changed everything. Over the next year, we became friends. He never cared about my family's wealth. He cared about my dreams, my fears, and the person behind the expensive clothes. Eventually, I fell in love. The day my parents found out was the day my life collapsed. My mother slapped the table. "You're dating the janitor?" My older brother laughed so hard he nearly spilled his wine. "Dad built an empire and you choose someone who cleans toilets?" Even my cousins joined in. "He's beneath you. Think about our reputation. People will laugh at us." I looked at Ethan. He never defended himself. He simply lowered his head and remained silent. That silence hurt more than every insult. A week later, my father called an emergency family meeting. Lawyers, executives, relatives. Everyone was there. He placed one document on the table. "Sign this." "What is it?" "A statement saying you are no longer part of this family if you continue this relationship." The room became silent. My mother crossed her arms. "Choose carefully." I looked around. Not one person stood beside me. So, I picked up the pen and signed. The next morning, my credit card stopped working. My phone was disconnected. My apartment was taken away because it belonged to the family company. Every luxury disappeared overnight. For the first time in my life, I owned nothing except Ethan. We rented a tiny apartment above an old grocery store. The roof leaked whenever it rained. The kitchen barely worked. Sometimes we shared one meal a day. Yet, those were the happiest months of my life, because every smile was genuine. Every hug was real. No one cared about money. 7 years passed. Not one birthday call. Not one Christmas invitation. Not one text. Nothing. My parents acted as though I had died. When Ethan proposed to me, I secretly hoped my family would finally come. I mailed every invitation personally. Weeks later, every envelope came back unopened. One letter contained only 6 words. "Don't embarrass us ever again," I cried that night. Ethan quietly wiped away my tears. "One day they'll regret this." I didn't believe him. We got married in a small countryside chapel. Only 18 people attended. Friends, neighbors, old co-workers. No family. Yet it was the most beautiful day of my life. Months later, everything changed. Ethan received a phone call. His grandmother had passed away peacefully. She had raised him after his parents died. He adored her. We traveled immediately for the funeral, while everyone expected a simple goodbye. The family's lawyer arrived. He opened a thick envelope. "Mrs. Eleanor Brooks has left her final will." Everyone leaned forward. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. "To my beloved grandson, Ethan." He paused. "I leave my entire investment portfolio." Another pause. "Worth approximately $200 million. The room exploded. People gasped. Some relatives nearly fainted. I couldn't even breathe. Then the lawyer continued. "She also leaves controlling ownership of Brooks Global Holdings." I looked at Ethan. He looked completely shocked. The quiet janitor had just become one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country. News spread across television within hours. Every business channel covered the unexpected inheritance. The headlines were everywhere. Former janitor becomes billion-dollar business owner. Hidden heir revealed. Corporate world shocked. That same evening, my phone rang. For the first time in 7 years. It was Mom. I stared at the screen, then answered. She cried instantly. Sweetheart, we've missed you. Really? 7 years of silence, and suddenly she remembered my number. The next morning, someone knocked on our front door. I opened it. Standing there was my mother. Designer clothes, perfect makeup, and a fruit basket. Behind her stood my father, my brother, my aunt, even cousins who once laughed at Ethan. Everyone smiled as if nothing had happened. Family belongs together. My father forced a smile. Let's forget the past. Forget? They wanted to erase 7 years of humiliation with apples and oranges before I could answer. My husband walked toward the entrance. He looked at every face that had mocked him, every person who had called him worthless. He opened the door wider, then calmly said, 2 words. Wrong address. He gently closed the door. No shouting, no insults, no revenge speech, just 2 words. Silence filled the hallway. For the first time, they understood what rejection felt like. Weeks later, my father requested a private meeting. He wanted Ethan to invest in the failing Ashford Corporation. Ironically, the same janitor they once considered beneath them was now the only person capable of saving their empire. Ethan smiled politely. Business decisions require trust. Then he stood. Unfortunately, you spent 7 years proving you deserve none. He walked away. Within a year, Ashford Corporation declared bankruptcy. Luxury homes were sold. Private jets disappeared. Their empire crumbled exactly the way they had destroyed their own family. Meanwhile, Ethan transformed Brooks Global Holdings into one of the nation's most respected companies. Unlike my father, he promoted janitors, cleaners, assistants, and interns based on talent, not social status. Every employee was treated with dignity, because Ethan never forgot where he came from. Sometimes people ask whether I regret losing my family's fortune. I smile every time. No amount of money could replace the peace we found together. The people who measured a man's worth by the mop in his hands eventually discovered that true wealth lies in character, loyalty, and kindness. The family who abandoned me because I loved a janitor returned only when they smelled money. But by then, they were 7 years too late. And some doors, once closed by betrayal, never open again. The greatest revenge isn't becoming richer than those who hurt you. It's building a life so full of love, integrity, and success that they can only watch from the outside, realizing they lost the greatest treasure they ever had.